This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, and welcome to Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, the Dream Coach. This is a show where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love and rediscover the truth of who you really are. When I was studying dream work, it was presented to me in the form of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, where we start out on a great adventure, face dark challenges, and arrive victorious in the end. The part that I always found most difficult was being in the belly of the whale, that dark night of the soul time when we can get trapped in the feeling that all is lost. Many of us can get stuck there and live with that sense of fear and dread our entire lives, where we keep ourselves playing small in the belief that that's the best way to protect ourselves and our loved ones. One person who was able to break through the whale's belly and find her way to her sacred soul is my guest today, Rocio Ortiz Luevano. She was able to rise from the wreckage of a broken marriage to find peace and purpose she hadn't thought possible. How? Well, let's meet her. Welcome to Dream Power Radio, Rocio.
Thank you, Debbie. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it is my pleasure, believe me. So you started on this journey as a result of the end of another one, your marriage. Tell us what gave you the courage to end that marriage that wasn't working for you anymore.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I was ending a marriage that wasn't ideal. It wasn't harsh as it might sound, but I just wasn't being valued in that relationship. I decided that I needed to pull away, and in the marriage we went through some pretty tumultuous situations that were traumatizing for me and for my son. And that was the moment when I realized I need to pull away from this. This is no longer serving me, and it's no longer serving my son. So I had this encounter with an intuitive healer who, when we met, gave me this perspective that I never could have imagined. She basically explained that if I remained in my marriage, I would become a shell of a woman. And would I want that for myself? And would I want that for my son? And as soon as she said, do you want that for your son? That was a moment when I felt this enormous shift. I thought, I couldn't possibly do this to my son. I can't. I just need to do something. And so that was really what gave me the confidence and the strength and the determination to move forward. And so that started me on this journey, on a journey of discovering myself, discovering my abilities, my skills, things that I could truly offer to not only to myself, to my son, but also to other women who could potentially be going through turmoil or challenging circumstances, or just find themselves in an unhealthy and less than ideal marriage, right?
So tell me about the discoveries. Like, what was it that you found about yourself that you hadn't realized?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Again, going back to that conversation with the intuitive healer, she mentioned to me that my spirit guide was Mother Mary, and that if I connected with her, if I reached out to her, she would guide my way. She also pointed out that it was really important for me to explore Eastern philosophies, to do yoga, to learn about the work of Marianne Williamson, to read about Thich Nhat Hanh and all of his philosophies. And so that started me on this journey of exploration and discovery. And somehow I was led to this practice. It's called Soperk, and it's essentially a Kundalini yoga shabad. And this shabad, which means it's a long prayer, was handed down by Guru Ram Das for women as a spiritual practice for women, so that women could pray for the men in their lives. And the intentions were to heal a man, to raise a child to become a man of God, and for God to show up. And so I just threw myself into this practice. I started attending these women's circles, and I had the wonderful fortune of meeting Marcia Canestrano, who was the woman who was leading these circles. And she basically said, please come back. I really encourage you to do so. And so I really, I took her words very seriously, and I continued attending the circles. I would listen to the Shabbat almost on a daily basis, just immersing myself in those words, even though I really didn't know what I was saying because it's in a completely different language. But there's just something very magical and powerful about the energy of that prayer. And so I just continued, and it was just, it's been transformative, really.
Yeah, and you talk about this in the book, Amazing Woman, It's Your Time to Emerge. Tell me, how does just say this much, like what kind of effect did it have on you? How did it have an effect on you?
Yeah. So initially, I really didn't know how it would impact me, but I think what happened was, because it's a pretty lengthy prayer, you meditate and just repeat the words. It's about 30 minutes long. And so it essentially puts you in a meditative state, right? And so, as we know, meditation has just profound implications on your well-being, on your body, on your spirit, at so many levels. And so I think it was the practice of repeating the words, for sometimes hours at a time, was, I think, what essentially was creating that healing. Years later, I participated in a fellowship program called the Napa Infant Parent Mental Health Fellowship. And through that fellowship, I learned about the work of Dr. Bruce Perry, who is a renowned child trauma specialist. And he talked about the importance of engaging in rhythmic, patterned, repetitive somatosensory experiences for healing. And so he would talk about how this was so important for the healing of children who have experienced severe trauma. And so when I heard him say that, I thought, wait a minute, I think I've been engaging in my own healing inadvertently, right? Well, I probably did have the intentions of healing, but I didn't make the connections until I heard him say those words. And so I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It was the chanting of Soperk, doing the meditation, also doing more exercise, reconnecting with my body, engaging in these repetitive practices was essentially healing my brain, healing my body, healing my spirit. So it had these profound effects on me that I had no idea, right? It was healing.
How often did you have to practice Sopor before you saw it having an effect on you?
Maybe at the time I wasn't really aware of how many times I needed to practice Soperk, but it just kind of happened. I think as the more I practiced Soperk, I would say, actually, let me go back a little bit. The teaching says that if you pray Soperk for 40 days, that's when you begin to see the change. So I think there's just something magical about for the 40 days that after you've done it for that length of time, that's when you should start to see the emergence of miracles and changes. But I just kept at it. I continued even after the 40 days. But I think the idea is that you do it as long as possible, and whatever feels comfortable or true for you, right? If you start to see the changes, it's creating transformation. Just follow that. Follow what your soul is guiding you to do.
You said that you started this with a practice with other people. How important is it to do it in a group, or is it something you can do by yourself?
Yeah, so you can definitely do it by yourself, but there was just something very powerful about doing it in a circle with other women. I think there's something to be said about the power that we as women have when we come together with a common purpose, with a common intention. And I just found that when I would gather with like-minded women, and when we engaged in the practice of Soperk, there was something very beautiful and healing about coming together with other women. So there's definitely, as we all know, we're social beings. We have an inherent need to connect socially with others. I think we've discovered that, right, in this last pandemic, that we need it just for our survival. We need to connect with others. And so practicing Soperk with other women in community was very healing and important for me. But when I couldn't come together with other women, I still practiced Soperk individually. And that was also very important. You know, sometimes those moments of quiet reflection and meditation are so vital, right? For growth, for reflection.
This is so fascinating, Rocio. We're going to be taking a short break now. We've been speaking with Rocio Ortiz Luevano, and we'll be right back. If you're not pleased with the trajectory of your life, the time to begin your own personal transformation is now, and your dreams can help pave the way. How? By tapping into your unvoiced confidence. What is unvoiced confidence, you say? It's the acceptance of your abilities and qualities. It's a state of mind coming from liking and even loving yourself, and feeling free to say or do anything you want without concern for the judgment of others. You were born confident, but may have had it chipped away little by the negative self-beliefs you've picked up over the years. If you're looking for the heightened energy, clarity of thought, and the feeling of being more alive that comes from self-confidence, you can rediscover it by paying attention to your dreams. Need some help doing this? Go to my website, thedreamcoach.net, and sign up for my complimentary dream discovery session. I can help show you how your dreams can help you return to the confident person you were always meant to be. Again, go to thedreamcoach.net. thedreamcoach.net.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
We've been speaking with Rocio Ortiz Luevano on how to heal our bodies and our spirits. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. If you have, please tell all your friends, follow me, and drop a positive review on your podcast site. And if you're on Clubhouse, join me in my club, Club Dreams, where I host weekly rooms on all aspects of dream work. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International.